Good morning, and good morning. Today is Monday morning. How are you? How was your weekend? I'm going to ask the same things. How was your weekend? Did you do anything that was fun? Something that took you out of your comfort zone? Because sometimes we do get a little frustrated and we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm hoping you had a good weekend. I did. I did. I got a few things done and I finished all my paperwork to get a new car. Yes, so a week from today I will be driving. Hope I still know how to drive because it's been a while. But I'm excited about that. And I said everybody that's giving me a ride or taking me from here or there, I'm gonna make sure you get a ride. I'm not gonna charge you either because you didn't charge me, so we're gonna make it a fair thing. But I'm excited about that. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. But I'm going to do a little relaxation at the end of the week. In fact, I only have one more session I'll do. And Are You Stuck today, obviously, now. And then I'm going to do another one on Wednesday. And I'm hoping somebody will come on with me Wednesday to do an Are You Stuck? And then I'm going to take a few vacation days. I'm going to take the Friday off. And then the following Monday, I will be getting my car, so I won't be available that day. But the this weekend, towards the end of the week, I'll be going to jazz. I'm going to do the Sea Breeze Jazz Festival down in Panama City, so I'm real excited about that and looking forward to it. Good morning, Barry, and how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you in the space. Welcome, welcome. Hope you had a good weekend. It was good talking to you the other day, as usual. We always have a good time talking. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about something that we don't always feel comfortable talking about, and that's mental issues. And they said periodically we'll all have some kind of mental stressor, whatever it is. It could be finances, it could be love, it could be the home you live in giving you headaches, it could certainly be your job. Could be your children, could be your spouse, it just could be so many things. And so we wanted to really look at and possibly address a little bit of those things. But when I was a counselor, there were so many things that might be addressed in terms of a case that came in and walked through the door. They might have been dealing with OSD, or which is, excuse me, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, or ADHD, which is hyperactivity disorders. They could have had many kinds of mental disorders, including anxiety. I remember having a client who was fearful of leaving her home. So you just never know how we are affected mentally, and it basically causes us physically not to be able to do some things. And I think it's okay, and I always have thought it was okay to seek out um, a counseling service of some sort. And sometimes you might even be elevated towards, it being actual mental health, dealing with a professional that is a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Sometimes we just have to face some of the things that we're dealing with. And, I don't know for you, but I know for me, I've had, people that have experienced schizophrenia, or certainly, the what I would call a real scary ailment is just being paranoid to the point where they couldn't move, where every single thing intimidated them, frightened them. So I hope you will just bear with me today and we'll get through this, but I think it's just a good subject matter to discuss. PTSD, those who have been to certainly been traumatized, through their experiences, people that have been in wars, people have been in, in gangs, or in situations that really place them at the high end of danger, and seeing, to me, face to facing danger is very, very tough. And so I wanted to just do a few characteristics of what mental health could be. because a lot of times there's a lot of assumptions, but it says mental health is more than just the absence of mental illness. It says it includes however you feel about yourself and how you adjust to life's events. Some things we cannot control, and when we can't control stuff, we need to admit to that. I'm gonna put on my dirty glasses. Hold on one second. Oh yeah, there you are. But anyway, it says, however, the National Mental Health Association cites 10 characteristics of people who are mentally healthy. It says who are mentally healthy. So it talks about they feel good about themselves. They know who they are. They're not afraid. They do not become overwhelmed by emotions such as fear and anger and love and jealousy, guilt, or anxiety, because some of those things are just normal. We're going to, have a tendency every once in a while to maybe feel a little some way, something about someone or some event that occurred. It says they have lasting and satisfying personal relationships. It says they feel comfortable with other people. They have respect for themselves and for others, even if there are differences. I think every time you go out, you've probably passed 5, 10, 15 people who are totally not like you, do not agree with you, whatever you believe or they believe, your paradigms do not, emerge together. And so that's okay. To me, that's what makes people people, is that we're all different and none of us are going to be the same. It says they're able to accept life's disappointments. We will be disappointed. I don't care who we are, by something. And even if we act publicly that we're not disappointed, we will be. We just will be, and that's okay. That is truly okay. If it's okay with you, then it's okay with whatever your shift is and how you feel. Okay, and whatever your comfortableness is and how you feel. It says they are able to accept life's disappointments. I repeat that they can meet life's demands and handle their problems when they arise. Meaning they're going to come. People, things are going to happen to us which we didn't expect. Things are going to be said, things are going to occur, and yet and still we have to be comfortable with the fact that we are who we are, whatever that is. It says they make their own decisions, meaning you're not coerced, you're not, pushed into making things that someone else may be more comfortable with and you're not. It says they shape their environments whenever possible and adjust to it when necessary, meaning that we're all going to go through something and our systems will change here and there. We're going to go through some things which we really felt as we come on the other side of it, that we came through a storm. We walked through whatever that anger, frustration, hurt, disappointment was, but we got to the other side, and that's okay. So those are things that really speak to what is mentally healthy thinking and behaving. But sometimes we encounter other situations that aren't as much understood by others or even ourselves. Let's be honest, sometimes we can't always say we did what we did. Let me see. I saw some. I don't know what happened. Let's see comments. Make sure I see my comments. Yes. Okay. It just flipped by itself. But anyway, it says so. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever experienced a time of stress that was very unhealthy, and you thought mentally you were affected by it to the point where you were almost dysfunctional? Some of us can certainly say that may have happened to us, and that's okay. It's okay. The thing is that we have to get to our own comfort level, and when we get there, we have to figure out what got us there in the first place and how do we move forward. How do we go beyond where we are? And so it says, what is mental health? This is, well, mental really talks about a person's condition which with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. And some of us may be emotionally, frazzled all the time because psychologically something may have addressed us the wrong way. We didn't know how to accept it. We didn't know how to handle it. And so it's as when we're really looking at this whole thing called mental abilities. It's talking about the emotional, psychological, and social well-being of ourselves. It's the cognitive health of us. It's the emotional health. It's the behavioral health. So you have cognitive, emotional, and behavioral, all things that are significant in how we behave and how we act. It says each of these components interacts with and influences the others, people that are all imperative to our overall being, overall well-being. And so that's life for us. We don't know any other way to understand how we behave, but we behave this way. And it says there's 5 qualities of mental health that a healthy person has. They feel good about themselves. They don't become overwhelmed, which is, these are things that I've already said, but I think I wanted to say them twice. It says they don't bow down or get overwhelmed by emotions such as fear and anger and love and jealousy, guilt, or an anxiety. And let's face it, sometimes those things happen. Good morning, Rhonda. How are you, my niece in New York? Good to see you in the space. Today our word is mental, and it says they have lasting and satisfying personal relationships. And I'd like to say that that's the way it is. That they're lasting and personal and satisfying to me. They feel comfortable with others. I think that's critical, that we are comfortable with ourselves and comfortable with others. Um, it says they laugh at themselves and with others. Let me see. Good morning. I'm just making sure I got all that. Okay. It says there's 3 causes of health, mental illness. 3 causes. It says childhood abuse and trauma or neglect. And it says social isolation or loneliness. And let's face it, some of us may feel lonely as young people or as children, or we were abused or whatever those things may have occurred. And it's so funny because when I think about myself, my mother was probably would be considered now as probably one that would abuse us, because she didn't spank us, she whipped us, and she would get so angry she whip us with anything. But I can honestly say I was the child that I didn't get in trouble much. I just had that fear. For me, it was a one-time see, and then the rest was I will do it whatever she says. And so I wasn't the child who got in trouble very much. Um, it also talks about social disadvantage, meaning the person has been isolated from others, so they don't know how to act. It says poverty, or debt can also put people in that category. And then it says also, bereavement, just losing someone, can also give us cause to be, to just lose it. We just don't have the ability to stay connected, you know, um, with others, because the persons that we lost or depended on became the ones most vitally important to us. Then it talks about long term health and physical problems, and conditions that will make us sometimes get, really having issues in our mental ability, on unemployment or losing a job. So, all these are key things that really say push people into that area of having mental stress, because these things have happened to them. And sometimes it's just hard to come back from where you've been. If you've been hurt a long time, you've been, just abused, misused in any way, sometimes it ends up that we fall short of bringing ourselves back to up to where we need to be. But listen, I'm going to ask you this one question. Are you stuck this morning? I hope not. The fact that you're in here with me, thank you so much for that. And let's just talk about what mental health could mean if it were broken down a little bit, for us to get a more, what I would call, an in-depth meaning of it. So for me, my M of mental is mind. You know, mind is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel. This is the faculty of consciousness, and thought. To me, that's powerful. The fact that we can think our way into something and sometimes further into our darkness, or we can think positively and come into our light, come into our ability to speak and understand the world according to how we feel. We have to understand that a person that has, schizophrenia has kind of lost their ability to be reasonable. For some of us, we don't even worry about the how to be reasonable because it's not as much of a concern. Good morning, Maurice. How are you today? Our word is mental. And we broke it down so far, understanding that starts with the mind. When we are mentally involved, mentally connected with people, or mentally unconnected, even sometimes we're not even connected to ourselves. We get to that point where we understand it's all in our mind. Well, that's where it starts. And then it may affect us physically, where we cannot move, we cannot think of what we need to do and how we need to be involved with the lives that we have. But the mind is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought. I know I did it again because I want you to know that the mind is vital. It's important. It says it's the power of understanding who you are, who you are. And sometimes we have great problems with that because we evaluate ourselves according to what we might see in others. We evaluate ourselves to what might we might understand that others are giving out, but we never can search back in our own, what I say, our own content, to say, you know what, I don't need that view. I need my view. I don't need their understanding of me. I need my own understanding of who I am. And to me, that brings it full circle of me. And we talked about me not long ago. And sometimes me is hard to get to, you know who am I? You may not feel the me that you are because social media, and I believe in, I don't know the statistics, but I believe they're very, very high in regards to especially young people or people who are still aspiring to find out who they are, is that they have a tendency to use social media as their thermostat, or their temperature, or their understanding of their understanding of who they are versus what they really are and who they really are. So anyway, when we really break that word down, the mind talks about the brain, the chemical balance or imbalance, because it could be that there is something wrong that medication may help. And sometimes it's realizing that the mind has the ability for judgment, whether we know it or not. We either excuse me, either we're judging or someone's judging us. And so judgment comes to be that thing that interacts as almost, sometimes for certain people, it's a interrupter, or an interceptor of what it is that we hear or see. A person could tell you that you look good, and you may take it like, don't I always look good? I've had that happen to me. I said, ooh, that is a beautiful outfit you have on. And they said, well, I can dress as well as you. It didn't require that, because I didn't mean it to be anything that was critical negatively. I was giving them a compliment on what they were wearing that day. But they assumed that it generated a conversation that went well into the overdraft. I wasn't there. Good morning, Debbie. How are you doing, my dear, my dear, my dear? Today we're dealing with mental, and how mental sometimes does affect us in certain ways. I've already started breaking down the word, and I did mind so far. That's where I'm at, is starting with my M. My M is mind, and I have it that it's the brain, it's the intellect, it's the intelligent side of us. That's where we can generate these good feelings or bad feelings. Mentality has to be maintained daily. Absolutely, has to be fed. But sometimes we let the wrong things feed our minds. You know, the fact that we don't have certain things, that feeds us. The fact that we want certain things, that feeds us. The fact that we think certain things based on either what we see or what we think we see, because sometimes what we see isn't all that's out there. It just isn't. um I'm not sure that on the screen. So really and truthfully, we just have this tendency to believe that we have to be above the rim of what other people have put us at, and we need to stay where we are, be comfortable with who we are, understand that our own mentality is our health. That's our health, not the fact that we're living through a vicariousness of someone else's health, you know, or someone else's what we see as being beautiful, or being good, or being kind. Find your peace. Find your peace. And it starts in your head, starts in your brain. It says, and also in our minds, we talk about our capabilities, our mental capacity, and of course, our own brain power. That's what we want. That's what we need. We need our own brain power. We don't need the brain power of someone else's, of someone else. We need to know who we are, what we are, and what we stand for. And that has all to do with us. It's a personal, that's why I'm always asking, are you stuck? So I'm asking you personally, are you? The you says whatever, and so does the me. So when you're speaking to yourself, you can say, you know what, this is just Facebook. This is just Instagram. This is just TikTok. I don't have to be a TikTok personality. I don't have to be a Facebook favorite. I just want to be who I am. Okay. If those things materialize and I end up being known and being encouraged and being faithful to whatever I believe in, and people want to hear it, then that's a win. That's a win. But when I move further on in my word of mental and I break it down to my E is for emotion, because I believe emotion is what we bring to the table anywhere we go to sit, anywhere we stand, anywhere we lay down at. We are going to bring our emotion, even if we try not to show it. In some instances, it's visible, a sadness. Sometimes the affect that we have on our faces tell if we are very uncomfortable or upset, or we're grimacing, or we're trying to hold back a tear. Sometimes it's visible. People see it. They get it. Equilibrium. I like that. That's a good word. Equilibrium is good, because we think about it. That's our balance. Sometimes we have to realize how equal are we, and what we should be doing, what we are doing. And it says, so emotion is a natural, instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, their mood, or relationships with others. So that breaks it down right there. Emotions. How connected are we with our emotions? Sometimes we don't even realize that we have an angry look on our face. We don't know it. We don't see it. We don't. And that's how life is, erratic. I love it, because it's true, because some people have this erraticness about them, all over the place, having a lot to say and a lot to do, and it's all about, I'm going here, now I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go over there. But the quality of the emotions are showing. They're showing in such a way that they just show up. So it says that the emotion, with this, having these relationships and understanding one's mood, it's the feeling that one may be giving off. It's the sentiment, the sensation. How many of us have had sensations about certain things, but we're afraid to step on it, afraid to go to it. But we realize that, wow, that there's something going on. It also talks about the passion. That passion, we talked about passion not long ago, and how important passion is. And it talks about it also being something that could be, it says in an incentive to do something, intent. You meant to say something, do something, and you did it with your emotion. You might be angry and you tell somebody. You might be in love and you tell somebody. You might be just happy and you show somebody and tell them. So all those are emotional states, emotional opportunities to get on out there and do what you do. It also says that with emotion, there could be warmth, there could be fervor, spirit, and excitement. So all those things pretty much address the fact that you're showing out in how you're emotionally feeling. You know, we also show it when we get angry. We also show it when we're just sad about whatever's going on. We just show it. Um, my N. Now watch this. You probably gonna say what? She took a turn. How many of us have probably been near, next to, worked with, lived with, love somebody that's nagging? Nagging can really help the brain go haywire. You know, if you're a person that constantly has something to say, constantly realizing that, you know, every single thing you have to say comes out, you know. And so there's a naggingness to it. There's just a way that just says, I'm irritating and I know it. And some people use it as a weapon, you know. And for others, it may be something that very much affects their mind and their emotion, you know, because it is just what it says it is. It's nagging. It's a nagging way of addressing things. So nagging is to irritate by constant scolding or urging. How many of us, you know, how many of us have nagged people, you know, and yet and still we may not even like it, but we know how to do it. Okay. We know how to do it. So nagging could be a badger, a worry, you know, hound. How many of us have hounded or been hounded by others? A needling, constantly picking at, you know, a peck and constant peck, you know, back. Same thing. When you're going to move that? Are you going to move that soon? You know, those things kind of make people just get really weirded out in their brain. They want to just say, woof, can't stand it. But erratic is good. Nagging. What word do you have for nagging for your N, Debbie? I know you got one. When we move on to the T says to tackle. And I believe that when we have mental stressors, we need to learn how to tackle them so that we are less prone to, she said, nasty lie. I like that. Said I had such an adventure yesterday, people constantly nagging me yesterday. So you know what I'm talking about. Nagging, and nasty is good too. Nagging and understanding that those things can certainly, you know, get under your nerves when you've been nagged by certain things, you know. Oh, and trust is good, because I believe that when your mind is comfortable and you're not having what I would call spikes of mental urges or thoughts that really get you kind of whirling around in your bread in your head, you realize, you know, that okay, they just keep bugging me, you know, I'm gonna let that go. But to trust somebody enough that they're not going to do that is when they know you, when they know you and they know what your triggers are, you know. It takes me a long time to get angry, long time, and then I'm not nice. I'm not nice then, but it takes me a long time to get there, so I kind of give you warning. I say, okay, I'll get back to that in a minute. And then it happens, and so, okay, didn't I tell you I was going to get back to that? So anyway, that is what we do when we go through that thing. But when we tackle it, that means we get it under control. It says to undertake and handle, to master, to solve things. Sometimes we have to realize we have to learn a way to get through some of the, what I would call the things that irritate us, the things that hype us up, the things that make us think we're less than, you know. And I believe this life is full of less than things that happen to us. They just are. It says trust and then truth. Get the truth of it. Yeah. And sometimes that will ease your mind when you feel you have the truth. That's really good. Really good, Rhonda. It says to undertake and handle and master and solve problems that we tackle that we consider to be difficult. It says we need a way to hook to understand that we can take it out of our problem area. It says we need to understand that it could be an impediment, meaning it's in the way, and it's something that's been implanted in us. We just feel that it's something that somebody gave us and we don't really like it, but we got it. So you have to learn how to deal with it. And tackle also means that there's a trapping. How do we get out of the trap? How do we get out of it? Do we talk it out? Do we sleep it out? Do we walk it out? Do we cuss it out? Because I know, as my pastor, I know you cussers are out there. And so you may just feel that once I get this out, I'm good, I'm done with it. But sometimes not. Sometimes not. When we move further on in the word of mental health, the A for me is we have to accept who we are, where we've been, what we've been through. And it may take us longer than others to do that. We have to just realize that we've made some changes. We've accepted what our plight is. We've accepted the fact that someone doesn't like us, someone doesn't want us, someone doesn't care about us, okay, I wasn't accepted for the job and I didn't get the man or the woman of my dreams. Life, that means we still accept. We've tackled it to accept it. And when we accept it, we acknowledge that I've done the best I can. Alternative. That's right. And to me, that would be an alternative when you've accepted what you've been given and you've tackled it and it's gone through the thing where, you felt there might have been a nagging and an emotional tie to it that dealt with your mind. But when you accept it, that means you've moved on further. You're getting through what I call that tunnel, getting through that tunnel and headed towards the other side where you'll see light again. You see happiness again. You see love again. You attack it. Yes. To attack something really suggests that you addressed it. Plain and simple. You knew what to do. And it says when we accept things, it says we receive them, that something is offered, that we have a willingness to give, that we're going to approve it on the new side. We're going to take it in and understand that we still have love for ourselves. A lot of times we can't love ourselves because we think other people don't love us. It's not true. We can love ourselves regardless of what other people think about us, that we give our own selves the love that we even want from others. Because I believe when you show yourself love, others can find love in you because you're showing it. You're showing it. You're appreciating who you are. And also in the instance of if you have a higher power, and for me it's God, then I say whose I am. That makes me comfortable with what it is that I'm given. All of us, we were not given the same things in terms of our value, and understanding who we are. And also when we have this whole thing of accepting who we are, it also says that we're going to endure. We're going to learn to endure. And with adamant, that's good. Adamant is good, that we would be steadfast. We're not moving. We ain't going nowhere. We're going to stay steady on who we are, regardless of what we think other people are thinking, or even how they've treated us, or how they've shown us. In fact, sometimes I just remember when people would do things to me that I thought was extremely negative. Not that I turned the other cheek, I just turned away from them, totally. I gave them my back. I didn't give them the audience that they thought they were trying to get out of me, which is to argue or feel that I was less than. I just be you. That's right. Just be you is good. That's a good way of looking at our lives, is when we just decide that we just are who we are. We can't change it. We can change how we feel about what we're going through as we get through it. Because to me, every day we get through something, then we're moving closer to that other side of just being very comfortable in who we are. But if we're always going to struggle about what somebody did to us 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, there's not much we can do with all of that, because the time in which maybe more could have been done has passed. So we have to accept the fact that the past has passed. We can't deal with it. Um, oh, somebody said attack. I missed that. That was Debbie. Hey, Debbie. And so I like Just Be You. I like it because it really says that I'm not going to worry about what you think of me. I'm just going to continue thinking good of me. And that, to me, you can't get beyond that. That's good stuff. That's just good stuff. Um, Also, when we accept stuff, it says that recognize it as being true. And I know Rhonda talked about things being true. Align. Oh, I like that. Align. Because we have to align for ourselves. We have to align where we are, because people will align us with them, and we may get in line only to realize that that alignment isn't ours. Same thing with your car. If the car is pointing too far to the left or right, that it needs an alignment. We have to get back to where we're supposed to be. And sometimes that's what happens in our lives, is that we realize that something, that's gotten in our head has pulled us too far to the left or to the right. And we have to realign ourselves with who we are for ourselves, not for them, not for others. Because, others will let you down. Assess. Okay. For a minute there, I thought you had written something else. Okay, I'm going to behave. But assess. We do have to assess who we are. We do have to assess just for our own mental well-being. We assess. We have to thank you, sweetie. Thank you, Rhonda. We just have to be who we are. Just what Miss Debbie said, realizing that we don't have to perform for anybody. We don't have to constantly bow down and just be in a position of proneness to others. We are who we are. And when we realize that, when we're acting out of who we are or away from who we are, that's when we deal with stressors. Mental stressors come when we are doing what far too much to be what others want us to be. I had to look twice myself. That's right. That's right. Sometimes we do. We have to look at ourselves over and over again, to just say, am I being true to myself, or I'm trying to wait for, the person that said, you got to come through me. You don't. You don't have to go through anybody else. So when we're really looking at this thing that we call accept, is to have and to take and be and have a willingly acceptable spirit about it, giving credit to yourself and not to others, understanding the importance of just receiving the fact that you are who you are, agreeing to receive and believe and trust in yourself and give credence to who? To you. And give it to other people. Don't give it away. I think it's wonderful to say thank you. And I say thank you all the time. You have to thank people who might have helped you or shed light on you or gave you something that you weren't expecting. But when it is your belief that they are more important to you, that's when you want to get back into the reality of just saying, you know what, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good with where I am. I don't have to, maybe I aspire to be this person and that person, but that's just ideas. I have to have my own way of thinking, my own way of believing, my own way of caring. Those things are yours. And lastly, with my L, which I really love, I love my L today. My L is label. How many of us are so quick to label others or accept the label that someone else has given you? A looniac. Oh, well, that would be a label. Live on. I like that. Live on. Live on. Live beyond where other people place you. Live your life. Live on. I love it. Thank you so much. But labels, are what we've lived with all of our lives. As a child, you could have been called names, you know. As adults, you could have been called names. You could have been considered to be less than just by names people associated with you. Um, I mean, there's just so many ways that people can affect how you feel about who you are just because they said something, years ago. May have been last week, may have been this morning, but leave it where it came from. Leave it with them. Say, look, that's how you feel, okay. But a label, it's a short word or phrase descriptive of a person, a group, an intellectual movement, etc. Word or phrase indicating that what follows belongs in a particular category or classification. That's labels. And labels sometimes stay with people and they affect how they feel mentally. It affects them, especially if they've been called names that they can't outlive. Outlive. They can't out think. They can't out believe because they believe what the person said, not because it's true, but because the person said it and maybe had an audience that might have been listening. Sometimes we're affected more about the environment of where things happen than what happened. Okay. If it happened in the presence of many, then sometimes that's what we take with us: the embarrassment, the degrading, the the lack of respect, the lack of respect. Live, love, and laugh. I love that, the 3 L's. That's a good thing. But not everybody lives by it, Debbie. It would be wonderful if they did, but they don't always do it. They don't always do it, but it would be wonderful if they did um, learn. How many of us have to learn sometimes? Sometimes we have to learn every day to find our peace, learn every day to find what love we have for ourselves, because we can let people strip us. Let's be honest. We can let them strip us of the things that we care about, the things we want, the things we are searching for, only to realize that it doesn't matter. The sun will still come up. The rain will still rain. The bees will still bees. They gonna still be bees. It's just our lives are like that. We understand that we have to listen. Thank you, Debbie, to ourselves. That should stay in our heads, not the fact of what Sue said, John said, Sherry said. Doesn't matter. They said it. Can they take it back? When something's been said, it's been said. It is. It is the way it is. So when we realize that we do these classifications, that the labeling categorizes people, making them feel a certain kind of way, you know. Oh, that's cute. Local, LOL. That's right. And some people are that. We get kind of local. We just get little wired up, a little weirdo, just because somebody said something to us. But if we put it in the category of, okay, trash talk, unnecessary talk, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to let it go. Then we can do that. It's sometimes hard, especially, as I said, depending on the environment that they put it out in. But labeling is also how they classify and define certain things. Labels are when something has been designated. Even if it's wrong designation, they still do it. They do it anyway. And a label is identity. And sometimes we identify with what people have told us, which is wrong. We just identify with it, even though it's hurtful, even though it has what I call long tentacles. And the long tentacles are when we've taken what somebody said and it wraps us in such a way that we are trapped in believing what they said, even though it's not true. It isn't true, but we believe it. And Debbie wrote, sometimes people degrade you. It's because of what they are feeling inside. Absolutely. A lot of times people speak from emotion. Most of us do. We speak from our emotions. Have a rally. People are angry. You might hear anything at the rally. You have a debate. and the debates get out of hand because someone, in the process of explaining their position, they disrespected who they were talking to, and so it elevates. And so they're the kinds of things, even having relationships or working projects together, they all form those things that sometimes the label, who's the leader, who's the follower, who contributed most of the work, all those kinds of things, address it as it is. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with you personally, but a lot of times when we're working, we still bring our personal feelings with us. They offended me. They disrespected me. I did 90% of the work, and they tried to take 100% of the result. So sometimes you're right, Debbie. They will degrade, but you have to also be in a position to say, but it doesn't make me less than who I am. It doesn't. I don't care what they say. And I think people who watch other people, almost have this shield with them that says, I know you wanted to offend me, but I'm not going to let it happen. I know you meant to anger me, but I'm not going to let it happen. That's what they live on. They live on you coming back towards them and having that, that call and that response and that response and that call, and it goes back and forth. So when you can leave it alone, that's a conversation that you're finished with it, done with it. So when we label, we also stamp things, we tag them, we call them out, we put them in a certain class. It's a naming game. There's a sticker attached to it. And sometimes, because they might be looking for the clout that they may receive, they're doing a tally, just trying to make themselves feel better and make you feel worse. Okay, that's it. It is a judgment. What you say, Debbie? It is a judgment. I tell you, I have enjoyed this morning with you all, just letting you know that I believe in what it is that I'm doing with Are You Stuck? I don't mean in any way to offend. I mean to really readdress, take down a word that people have struggled with for years, because they will tell people that they're mentally this, or they got this and they've been labeled with that, and so many things, But I say, relax yourself in believing that you are who you are and not what other people say about you. I want you to have a wonderful day. Is anybody willing to come on Wednesday with me? Debbie, you. We'll pick a fun word, and you can come on screen and can't cuss. But you could come on screen and have a good time with me. I would love to do that. Thank you so much, Marion. I love you. I love you. I love all of you guys that come on here with me. I do. And there's a lot of people that watch, because later on I can look at some of the views, and the views are many. It may be well up in the hundreds, but they don't come on because it's public, so they don't have to. Okay. So I'll call you and we'll pick up a word for Wednesday. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Be in your own head these next few days, and in fact, all the time. Understand your own mental wellness. Feed into that. Don't let others feed you where they take you away from who you are. You are who you are. I'm the icebreaker. Yes, I need you to be my icebreaker. But I love you guys. I'm loving this platform. The fact that now I have, 3 different ways, including Instagram, to get this information out. So I'm excited. I love you all. I will see you on Wednesday of this week. And then I won't see you again until next Wednesday of the following week. But much love, much peace. Take care of your mental health today. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Hey, Miss Rosie. Hi. Like me, everybody. And if you don't do anything else, if you would just share it, that would be wonderful. Have a great day. Bye-bye.